Supreme grade marrow cleansing pill. Even if it was incomplete, it was still a treasure of the world. Even alchemy king Ji Yushi couldn't sit still. Oh my god, supreme grade marrow cleansing pill. Where did they get such a good thing? The formula for the pill had been lost, and it could be said that almost no one in the world could refine it. Looking at the expressions of the people around him, Yi Zhan was a little speechless. He was having a headache over how to solve the pile of perfect supreme grade marrow cleansing pills. Why were they surprised with this incomplete one? I have plenty of that if you want. Alchemy king Ji Yushi thought Yi Zhan was joking. He smiled without saying anything. Not to mention the fact that the formula had been lost. Even if it hadn't, some of the materials and spiritual plants no longer existed. From this, one could see the value of supreme grade marrow cleansing pills. No wonder everyone had such expressions. How is it? I heard that Brother Lin is looking for pills to cure your son's injury. Our Su family has done our best and did not let you down. This can be considered as compensation for breaking off the engagement. Patriarch Su's high and mighty attitude deeply hurt Lin Yuanheng. It was as if Patriarch Su was giving alms, and as if he had picked up a great bargain. Su Qingyun had publicly broken off the engagement and humiliated them first. She had even spoken arrogantly and simply looked down on the Lin family. And now, they were acting like this. Everyone has a temper, including him. Lin Yuanheng said coldly, I don't need your pills. Su Qingyun was a little unhappy when she heard this. Lin Yuanheng, don't do something beyond your ability. It's already a great fortune that you're able to restore part of your spirit root. Do you still want to be picky? Or do you want to be a good-for-nothing for the rest of your life? She kept calling Lin Yuanheng a good-for-nothing, and the veins on his hands popped out. Mind your words. What? Did I say something wrong? You don't even allow others to say that you're a good-for-nothing since you're one. Qingyun. Seeing that the two sides were almost fighting, the Su family patriarch rebuked lightly. How can you say like that? You're shooting from your lip. Although he said this, there was no blame in his expression. He even faintly agreed with it, which made Lin Yuanheng and the others furious. Brother Lin, you don't have to take the words of a child seriously. You should just keep this pill. The Lin family indeed needed this pill. But if they accepted it, where would Lin Yuanheng's position be? What would happen to the Lin family's face? They would probably be ridiculed by the world and forever nailed to the pillar of shame. The Lin family patriarch couldn't help but look at Lin Yuanheng. If he missed this pill, just as Su Qingyun and her father had said, he would have to be a good-for-nothing for the rest of his life. Hanger, think about it. This pill, seeing that the Lin family patriarch still had to work hard for him despite his age and was even humiliated because of this marriage, Lin Yuanheng made up his mind. A determined light appeared in his eyes. So what if I'm a good-for-nothing for life? Our Lin family doesn't welcome you. Take your things and get lost. I'll repair my spirit root one day without your pills. This kind of magnanimity made everyone feel very satisfied, and they wanted to clap their hands and cheer. Patriarch Su's face turned ugly. We want to make peace, but you insist on making things this way. Since that's the case, there's nothing else to say. Goodbye. Since they had shed all pretenses of cordiality, there was no need to maintain the peace on the surface. The Su family gradually revealed their true faces. I'd like to see what a useless young master can do in the future. Wait. The man's voice suddenly attracted everyone's attention. It was Yi Zhan again. Who said that young Master Lin is useless? Patriarch Su looked at him as if he was looking at a fool. Everyone knows that his foundation is damaged and he can't proceed with his cultivation. Without a supreme grade marrow cleansing pill, he can only be a good-for-nothing for the rest of his life. After saying that, he revealed a proud expression. Although the supreme grade marrow cleansing pill we have is incomplete, it can still repair half of his spirit root. It's a pity that you guys don't appreciate it. As soon as he finished speaking, Yi Zhan said, isn't it just a supreme grade marrow cleansing pill? I have plenty of this. You're giving me an incomplete pill as compensation, but you sounded as if it's very precious and you've been taken advantage of. At first, everyone thought that even if the supreme grade marrow cleansing pill was incomplete, it was still a rare treasure. Now that they heard Yi Zhan's words, the way they looked at the Su family suddenly became strange. It was true as he had said. Apologizing was one thing, but the compensation was even an incomplete thing. When Su Qingyun and her father heard this, their faces turned from green to red, changing colors like a palette. You little brat, how dare you to say that you have a supreme grade marrow cleansing pill? You're just bragging without even thinking about it. Yi Zhan smiled slightly. If the people from Tai Ching Sect who were familiar with him were present, they would know that he was about to show off his wealth every time they saw this smile. Looking at his confident appearance, Patriarch Su's eyes revealed a suspicious look. Could it be that this kid really has a supreme-grade marrow cleansing pill? He immediately denied himself in the next second. That's impossible. Supreme-grade marrow cleansing pills no longer exist. Even if they do exist, they're hidden in the ancient mystic realms. How could a low-level cultivator like him have them? The others were also discussing. This person doesn't look like he's lying. Could he really have the pill? Yeon took something out of his pocket. In fact, he had just taken the pills out from the system space. Everyone's eyes were focused on his hand. Everyone, please take a look. These are the supreme-grade marrow cleansing pill. Everyone subconsciously held their breath. They were about to witness the appearance of a supreme-grade marrow cleansing pill. If this news were to spread, who knew how many forces would be shocked? However, when he saw the pill in Yeon's hand, they immediately showed a disappointed expression. The black pill looked ordinary, without any special features or medicinal fragrance. It was like a pill made from coal ash under a boiler. The Su family almost burst out laughing. Are you telling me that this is a supreme-grade marrow cleansing pill? Brother Lin, where did you invite this person from? Is he here to make a joke? The Su family patriarch said with a mocking expression. Even Alchemy King Ji Yushi was speechless and embarrassed. After all, he was the one who brought Yeon here. He hurriedly stepped forward and said, Elder Yi, what are you doing? This isn't supreme-grade marrow cleansing pill. No one had ever seen what a supreme-grade marrow cleansing pill looked like, but the one in Yeon's hand was probably not. After all, it was too ordinary. Even the other guests joined in the jeering. Although we've never seen it before, it doesn't mean that we don't know what it is. You're trying to fool us with a random meatball. Do you think we're fools? It makes sense. How could a low-level cultivator have a divine item like supreme-grade marrow cleansing pill? Patriarch Su's eyes were full of contempt. I'll let you see what a real supreme-grade marrow cleansing pill is. Unlike Yeon's casual attitude, he carefully poured out a pill from the jade bottle instead. Even the bottle was made of top-quality spiritual jade, which could preserve the medicinal effect to the greatest extent. It was enough to show how precious the thing inside was. A refreshing medicinal fragrance filled the air, and everyone's expression suddenly changed. It was a white pill without any impurities. It was said that the higher the quality of the pill, the lighter the color. It was also without any impurities. It was like a high-quality white jade. It was more like a piece of art rather than a pill. The whole place was silent. Unfortunately, there was only half of the pill. Since it was incomplete, only a portion of the medicinal effect could be displayed. Everyone present sighed thinking about this. As long as one had eyes, one would be able to see that this pill was extraordinary. Ordinary pills are mainly red and black. It's indeed a supreme-grade marrow cleansing pill. I've never seen one with such a clear color. It was an eye-opener for everyone to see that it could still reflect a strange luster under the sun. In comparison, the pill in Yeon's hand was more like a ball rolled out of the mud, which was extremely ridiculous. Looking at the envious eyes of the people around him, the Su family patriarch was even more proud. Look carefully. This is the real supreme-grade marrow cleansing pill. It's obtained from the ancient mystic realm, not something that the thing in your hand can fake. Although Yeon didn't understand why the two were so different in appearance even though they were both supreme-grade marrow cleansing pills, he believed that anything produced by the system must be of the highest quality. The one he had was definitely better than the Su family patriarch. Yeon's expression was calm despite facing everyone's doubts. His eyes fell on Lin Yuanheng and he said meaningfully, I'm willing to give this supreme-grade marrow cleansing pill to young Master Lin. Lin Yuanheng had once helped him out of trouble and showed kindness to him. Therefore, Yeon was willing to help him. The opportunity was already there, and it was up to Lin Yuanheng to seize it. Many people admired Yeon's courage. Things had already come to this point, but he still insisted that the one he had was a genuine supreme-grade marrow cleansing pill. Who would eat something of unknown origin? Even if one has the pill, why would one take out such a precious pill casually? What everyone didn't know was that what they thought extremely precious was worthless to Yeon. He wouldn't even feel bad if he lost hundreds of them, let alone one. If it wasn't for the mission, Yeon wouldn't have gone through so much trouble. Patriarch Su put on a high and mighty attitude. Brother Lin, I'm not a person who holds grudges. It's not too late if you regret it now. I'm willing to give you this pill as an apology for breaking off the engagement. He paused and glanced at Yeon. It's better not to eat those things of unknown origin. If something bad happens, the Lin family will have no successor. When Lin Yuanheng and the others heard this, their faces turned ashen. If it were not for the people who stopped them, they would have already rushed forward. The Su family was too arrogant. They looked down on the Lin family completely and repeatedly humiliated them in public. The Lin family patriarch originally wanted to refuse, but he had to think for Lin Yuanheng. Therefore, he could only suppress his anger. Hanger, you see, Lin Yuanheng did not want to embarrass the Lin family, and he did not want to connive the Su family either. If he accepted the pill, it meant that he had to submit to the Su family. So what if his foundation was restored? He was afraid that he would hang his head in shame, and the title of good for nothing would accompany him for the rest of his life. No man could stand it. Not only was the woman breaking off the engagement in public, but he was also humiliated. I'll say it again, I don't care about your medicinal pills. Take your things and get lost. After that, Lin Yuanheng took the pill from Yeon's hand and swallowed it. None had expected him to do this. The Lin family patriarch's expression changed slightly, but it was too late to stop him. Hanger, you're too impulsive. How could you eat something like that? You shouldn't play with your life even if you're angry. The others were also dumbfounded. They stuttered, no way, young Master Lin ate the black meatball. The black pill should be an ordinary pill without any poison. Lin Yuanheng opened his mouth as if he wanted to say something, but he fainted on the ground the next second. Everyone's expression changed, and the scene became extremely chaotic. Yeon had gone overboard this time. The sudden incident was beyond everyone's expectations. No one had expected Lin Yuanheng to eat Yeon's pill without hesitation. Even Alchemy King Ji Yuzai's heart was in his throat. He was the one who brought Yeon over. If something happened to Lin Yuanheng, the Lin family patriarch would probably take revenge on Yeon. He couldn't protect Yeon even with his status by then. For a moment, his head hurt to the extreme and he began to regret bringing Yeon here. Elder Yi, what did you give to young Master Lin? It's a supreme grade marrow cleansing pill. We've already come to this point, can you stop joking? Alchemy King Ji Yushi was so angry that he couldn't speak. He didn't expect Yeon to be such unreliable. After checking Lin Yuanheng's physical condition, his expression became even more unsightly. Young Master Lin suddenly fainted for some reason, I think. Alchemy King Ji Yushi stammered as he spoke the rest of his words. His expression revealed his guilt. The Lin family patriarch immediately understood the meaning behind his words and his expression turned even colder. I think it's because of that pill. The Lin family patriarch was so angry that he couldn't speak. Hurry up and bring the young master back to his room for treatment. Even if Alchemy King Ji Yushi didn't want to admit it, he couldn't refute it. He lowered his head in guilt. Lin Yuanheng's foundation wasn't good. If he got worse because of this pill, the Lin family patriarch would probably vent his anger on him. He didn't want the incomplete supreme grade marrow cleansing pill but ate a pill of unknown origin instead. You see, he's unconscious on the ground now for some unknown reason. Patriarch Su consoled him, Brother Lin, don't worry too much. God will help a good person. Based on his current condition, he can't be that bad either. Although he was comforting the Lin patriarch, the gloating in his expression couldn't be concealed, and the words he said were even more sarcastic and harsh to the extreme. The Lin family patriarch's anger rose. Men, take him down. Although he had a good impression of Yeon, he couldn't be blamed for the current situation. After all, Lin Yuanheng fainted because of the pill in Yeon's hand. If this was poison, or if it was mixed with something harmful to the body, wouldn't it cause an even greater blow to Lin Yuanheng? There must be a misunderstanding. Alchemy King Ji Yushi came forward. The Su family was still adding fuel to the fire by the side. They fanned the flames while watching the sense of bustle, even trying to make things worse. Why are you so angry? Isn't this young Master Lin's own choice? I think the young man is too impulsive. If he had accepted our pills, there wouldn't be any hassle. Su Qingyun also thought that Lin Yuanheng had brought this upon himself. The Lin family patriarch's understanding of their shamelessness and self-righteousness had once again been refreshed. Your Su family is also one of the main culprits. If it wasn't for your continuous humiliation and pressure, my son wouldn't have taken this choice. Brother Lin, I don't like what you said. Your son ate something bad himself, and we didn't force him to do so. How can you blame us? We reminded him as well. At this moment, a servant from the Lin family ran over hurriedly. "Patriarch, please go and see the young master." Seeing the look of panic on his face as if something big had happened, the Lin family patriarch immediately panicked. "What happened?" The servant stammered. "Patriarch, you'll know when you see him." Patriarch Lin looked at the Su family and Yi Zan coldly. He ordered the people around him, "Keep an eye on them. They are not allowed to leave without my orders." Su Qingyun was still a little unhappy. "We're not criminals. Besides, we didn't cause Lin Yuanheng to be like this. Why can't we leave?" Seeing that Su Qingyun still wanted to continue, Patriarch Su stopped her. "It's fine. I'd like to see what the Lin family can do to me if something happens to Lin Yuanheng." Most importantly, the two families had already fallen out, so there was no need to maintain a superficial peace. He was also happy to see the Lin family suffer. Su Qingyun was very disdainful. It's Lin Yuanheng's fault for not knowing what's good for him. He deserves this kind of ending, but they still want to blame us. When the Lin family members heard this, they immediately glared at her. "Don't go too far, Su family. It's all your fault that the young master becomes like this. It's fine if you don't regret it, but you're still making sarcastic remarks here." If it wasn't for the Lin family patriarch's instructions to not get into a conflict with the Su family, they would probably have taught this group of people a deep lesson. Su Qingyun snorted coldly. "How could it be our fault? The real culprit is right next to us." After that, everyone's eyes fell on Yi Zan. He didn't look flustered at all. Instead, he was extremely calm, as if everything had nothing to do with him. He said disapprovingly, "What are you looking at me for? I said it's a supreme-grade marrow cleansing pill. There's nothing serious. He'll wake up in a while." His attitude and appearance made the other guests exclaim in admiration. Putting everything else aside, this person is impressive in lying. The matter has come to this point yet he's still talking about supreme-grade marrow cleansing pills. This is the first time I've seen someone who can boast to this extent without a change in expression. Could it be that the thing just now was poison? Otherwise, why did young Master Lin faint straight away after he had eaten? He doesn't have the guts. Besides, there's no enmity between the two of them, so why would he do such a thing? Just as everyone was discussing, the Lin family patriarch walked over slowly with a serious expression to Yi Zan. His steps seemed to be heavy, and every step he took made people's hearts tremble. Seeing this expression, Alchemy King Ji Yushi immediately felt that something was wrong. Could something have happened to Lin Yuanheng? "It's over," that was the last thought in his mind. However, the next second, the Lin family patriarch bowed to Yi Zan in front of everyone. They were shocked. What was this about? "Benefactor, please accept my bow." Yi Zan was still calm as if everything was under his control. In the eyes of the Lin family patriarch, Yi Zan had become unfathomable. Inexplicable respect rose in his heart. "Good lenses, bad frames. I was wrong earlier. Please forgive me for being impolite." Seeing that Yi Zan was still standing, the Lin family patriarch immediately glared at the servants. "Is this how you treat our distinguished guest?" The servant was bitten his head off. "Patriarch, wasn't it you who asked us to watch him over?" Before he could finish, he was interrupted by the Lin family patriarch. "What happened earlier was a misunderstanding. From now on, he is my benefactor and the honored guest of the Lin family." After saying that, the Lin family patriarch made an inviting gesture and let Yi Zan sit in the main seat. He stood at the side and personally poured tea. This kind of treatment was unprecedented. One had to know that the Lin family had 100 years of inheritance and was quite powerful. Even though they were not as glorious as they were back then, they were still better than many other families. No matter what, they still had a deep foundation. How could the Lin family patriarch be so respectful to someone of low cultivation? It was simply unbelievable. If they hadn't seen it with their own eyes, they wouldn't have believed it at all. Everyone looked at each other, and the change in the Lin family patriarch's attitude almost took everyone aback. Has the Lin family patriarch gone crazy or has he been too agitated? He called him a benefactor. Someone said half-jokingly, could it be that what he had was a real supreme-grade marrow cleansing pill and restored Lin Yuanheng's foundation? However, he didn't know that what he just said was a prophecy. Even Su Qingyun and her father were confused. "Father, what is the Lin family up to?" Patriarch Su said indifferently, "I don't care what they are up to. It can't be that Lin Yuanheng has been cured. Maybe the situation has become even worse now. It's just that he deliberately pretends to be like this so that we won't see him as a joke." Alchemy King Ji Yushi couldn't describe his current mood. He originally thought that Yi Zan was going to be in big trouble. Who would have thought that he would suddenly become a distinguished guest of the Lin family? The treatment was even better than his. It seemed that he was always unexpected and could always bring surprises. What happened, Elder Yi? Yi Zan smiled slightly, appearing extremely mysterious. Young Master Lin's foundation has been repaired, of course. Yi Zan had also said this before, but Alchemy King Ji Yushi didn't take it to heart. But now, it didn't seem like he was lying. Moreover, with the Lin family patriarch's attitude, it seemed like this was the only reason that could convince him. Alchemy King Ji Yu's heart rate suddenly increased, and even his breathing quickened. What happened? Patriarch Lin. Faced with everyone's questions and doubtful gazes, the Lin family patriarch laughed heartily but did not say anything. Everyone was eager to know what had happened. Patriarch Lin, please don't keep us in suspense. Let me tell everyone. A familiar male voice was heard. It was Lin Yuanheng. At this moment, he was in high spirits, and his whole body was filled with an indescribable feeling. It was as if he had changed into a different person, but it was hard to tell what exactly had changed in him. It's strange. It's only been a while, but I feel like young Master Lin is different. You have the same feeling too? I thought I was the only one. Patriarch Su looked at Lin Yuanheng doubtfully. Then his pupils shrank. He was indeed a powerful cultivator and he soon found that something was wrong. Your foundation has been repaired. His expression was as if he had seen a ghost. Even Su Qingyun, who was beside him, had a look of disbelief. How is this possible? It might be difficult for ordinary people to see if one's foundation was intact, but it was not difficult in their eyes. In the past, Lin Yuanheng was like a leaking bucket. No matter how many heavenly treasures the Lin family found for him, it was to no avail. No matter how much spiritual energy there was, his body could not retain it at all. Now that the damaged area had been repaired, the previous troubles were naturally no longer there, and the spiritual energy had also been accumulated. Hearing this, everyone was shocked. They all knew how difficult it was to restore one's foundation. One had to have a supreme-grade marrow cleansing pill. Could it be that? Someone blurted out, was the black pill just now a real supreme-grade marrow cleansing pill? Lin Yuanheng knelt in front of Yi Zan. Benefactor, please accept my bow. The Lin father and son's attitude explained everything. No matter how much they didn't believe it, this was the only possibility. The pill that Yi Zan had given was a genuine supreme-grade marrow cleansing pill. It was no wonder the Lin family's father and son would pay such great respect to them. Yi Zan had given them a new life. The Lin family had been working around for Lin Yuanheng, hoping to repair his foundation. They did not hesitate to spend a lot of manpower and resources on this. Unfortunately, there had been no improvement. However, he did not expect the situation to take a turn for the better without any effort. Compared to the Lin family's joy, the Su family's people did not look too good. In my opinion, the Su family is really stingy. They made it sound like an apology, but in the end, it's still an incomplete pill. Others can casually give a complete pill. It's really embarrassing in comparison. So what if they curried favor with the Yaoqi Holy Land? If Yi Zan wasn't there, then the Su family's apology gift was quite good. Unfortunately, they met Yi Zan. The supreme-grade marrow cleansing pill was a slap in their faces. Patriarch Su glared at Yi Zan. The anger and hatred in his heart soared. He was waiting to see the Lin family make a fool of themselves, but he became the biggest joke in the end. Hearing the whispers of the people around them, the Su family blushed even more. They wanted to refute it, but they couldn't say anything. Let's go. Seeing that the Su family was about to leave, Lin Yuanheng suddenly said, wait. Patriarch Su turned around with a gloomy face. What else? He took a step forward and said calmly, you broke off the engagement in public and humiliated me again and again. Are you going to let this matter go just like that? I'm afraid it's not enough even if you have the Yaoqi Holy Land to support you. Yi Zan's eyes lit up. It's here, the most anticipated slapping in face segment. Patriarch Su was so angry that his facial features were somewhat distorted. What do you want? Didn't you all say that I'm trash? I'll challenge Su Qingyun in a year's time. If you lose, you'll have to personally come and apologize. Remember, it's my Lin family who broke the engagement. You don't deserve it. Lin Yuanheng's words were loud and clear, like a heavy hammer smashing into everyone's heart although his foundation had just been restored and his current cultivation was not high. This kind of charm and spirit did not lose to any of the experts. Even the powerful Su Qingyun seemed to be inferior to him. No one would think that Lin Yuanheng was overestimating his own ability. Such a scene would probably be imprinted in the hearts of all the guests. Well said. Yi Zhan was the first to applaud in public, pretending not to see Patriarch Su's murderous gaze. Although the others also wanted to cheer, they could only support it in their hearts due to the pressure of the Su family. Patriarch Su's gloomy eyes swept over Yi Zhan and then fell on Lin Yuanheng. He almost gritted his teeth to squeeze out a sentence. "All right, I promise you." He flicked his sleeves and left, leaving only his angry back view. However, Su Qingyun did not leave immediately. She suddenly said, "I'll wait." She paused for a moment, then said word by word, "I'll remember you." This sentence seemed to be for Lin Yuanheng, but her eyes were fixed on Yi Zhan. The engagement banquet ended just like that. Everyone was still in doubt. How could Yi Zhan have a supreme-grade marrow-cleansing pill? After this incident, the news of him having this pill would probably spread very quickly. Fortunately, the Lin family patriarch came forward and said, "Young brother Yi only has one pill. He has already given it to Hanger. Please don't ask anymore." Even if the crowd did not believe it, they could not say much. They could only leave with the Lin family patriarch holding the fort. As for whether they believed it or not, only they themselves knew. After everyone left, Yi Zhan and Alchemy King Ji Yushi stayed behind. Alchemy King Ji Yushi gave Lin Yuanheng a full examination again. His expression was a little serious. Although young master's foundation has been repaired, just one supreme-grade marrow-cleansing pill is not enough due to the serious damage. I'm afraid it will relapse in the future. The Lin family patriarch was taken aback. "Do you mean Hanger will be in the same situation in the future?" Alchemy King Ji Yushi nodded. "Furthermore, his foundation is weaker than ordinary people. He can't be too badly injured, otherwise." Before he could finish his sentence, the others immediately understood what the Alchemy King meant. It was like a wet blanket to them. Their hearts had just been warmed up but now fell to the ground again. "In that case, aren't we overjoyed for nothing?" Lin Yuanheng was stunned at first, then he showed a relieved smile. His mentality was very good even though he had turned from a genius to a good-for-nothing. He even comforted the Lin family patriarch. "Father, I'm already very lucky to be able to repair my foundation. Alchemy King only said that it's possible to happen. I'll be more careful in the future." The Lin family patriarch couldn't help but sigh. This isn't a matter of being cautious at all. You have just set the one-year promise. What are you going to do when you challenge Su Qingyun? When there's a will, there's a way. Besides, there's still a year left. Maybe I can find other ways to make up for this deficiency. Lin Yuanheng was still very optimistic. It was easy for him to say, but it was extremely difficult in fact. Otherwise, he would not have waited until now. The Lin family was dejected. They originally thought that everything would be fine once Lin Yuanheng's foundation was repaired. Who knew that there would be such a thing? However, Yi Zhan was a little puzzled. "What's wrong with you guys? If one pill isn't enough, then just get a few more." Alchemy King Ji Yushi sighed. "Where can we get another supreme-grade marrow-cleansing pill?" As soon as he finished speaking, Yi Zhan waved his hand, and countless black meatballs appeared on the table. "You can just ask me. Is this enough?" Even the Lin family patriarch, who had always been calm and composed, had his mouth wide open and could not help but gasp. The expressions on the others' faces could even be described as dumbfounded. Lin Yuanheng stuttered and asked, "What is this? Is it what I imagined?" Yi Zhan casually picked one up and stuffed it into his mouth. "It's a supreme-grade marrow-cleansing pill. Didn't you eat it before?" Lin Yuanheng swallowed it subconsciously. It really tasted the same. He shook his head violently. "I didn't mean that. I mean, where did you get so much of them?" Yi Zhan had just taken the pills out casually. People who didn't know better would think that this kind of supreme-grade pill was as common as cabbage. "You mean this? I have a lot of them, so you can eat as much as you want. Consider I've lost if you finish them." Yi Zhan didn't think much of it. Looking at his calm expression, everyone in the Lin family was shocked. One must know that those were supreme-grade marrow-cleansing pills, but not ordinary things. Probably because of the spiritual plant incident, Alchemy King Ji Yushi seemed to be the calmest one. But in fact, his heart was also in a state of shock. In the face of so many supreme-grade marrow-cleansing pills, the Lin family almost knelt in front of Yi Zhan. Lin Yuanheng subconsciously rubbed his eyes, thinking that he was hallucinating. Those who didn't know better would think that Yi Zhan was here to wholesale. Supreme-grade pills were so common to him. This kind of thing could only happen to Yi Zhan. The Lin family patriarch was so excited that he couldn't speak. With so many supreme-grade marrow cleansing pills, not only Hanger's foundation now, but the foundation in his next life will also be strong. Although there was some extent of exaggeration in his words, it was the truth. Lin Yuanheng was originally a genius, but he had fallen to this point because his foundation was damaged. Although it was a bit too late to recultivate now, he could catch up if he worked hard with his talent and the Lin family's strength. He might even have a chance of defeating Su Qingyun in the one-year promise. It could be said that Yi Zhan was the Lin family's great benefactor. The Lin family patriarch once again solemnly bowed to Yi Zhan. "Brother Yi, please accept my bow again. I know that the supreme-grade marrow-cleansing pill is priceless, and one can't buy it even with money. I am willing to exchange it with items from the Lin family's treasury." The Lin family patriarch couldn't let Yi Zhan spend so much for nothing, even though they didn't know that it was insignificant to him at all. Yi Zhan naturally wouldn't refuse such a good gift. After dismissing all the miscellaneous people, the Lin family patriarch brought Yi Zhan to the family's forbidden area. There seemed to be no one around, but Yi Zhan could feel the extraordinary aura. They were probably all hidden in the dark. Not only was this place heavily guarded, but there was also an intricate formation set up around it. Even a fly couldn't enter the place. The Lin family patriarch formed a seal with his hands and mumbled something. A light blue light curtain instantly enveloped the two of them. The sky and earth spun, and the surrounding scene changed when Yi Zhan opened his eyes again. All he could see were treasures that were shining with spiritual light. Some of them were cultivation techniques that emitted powerful auras, and some of them were Dharma treasures that were shining with divine light. In addition, there were some well-preserved spiritual plants and pills. The Lin family had been inherited for 100 years. They had accumulated many good things over the years. Only those who had contributed greatly to the Lin family would be rewarded by the clan leader. As an outsider, it was Yi Zhan's first time entering this treasury. Logically speaking, Brother Yi doesn't have the qualifications. The Lin family patriarch spoke the truth with an emotional expression. However, I only have one son. The second branch is eyeing me like a tiger watching its prey. If it wasn't for my strength, they would have long been disloyal. Even so, they are still restless and had been thinking of ways to take my position over. It turned out that the young man Yi Zhan had met back then was from the second branch. No wonder he had no respect for Lin Yuanheng. If this continues, I'm afraid that I'll lose my power, and the position of the Lin family patriarch will not fall to someone whose foundation is damaged. But now, Hanger has recovered, so there's no need to worry about the future, and this can calm the others. No wonder the Lin family patriarch would let Yi Zhan come to the Lin family's treasury unprecedentedly. The pills not only restored Lin Yuanheng's foundation but also helped the father and son to stabilize their status. Brother Yi, feel free to choose. I won't be stingy if there's anything you like. Looking at the ocean of treasures in front of him, Yi Zhan didn't hesitate and started to check them. The Lin family's cultivation techniques had powerful destructive power, but they weren't suitable for him. Yi Zhan's eyes fell on the pile of treasures. They were all brilliant and extraordinary. Although they were not bad, there was nothing that caught his eye at first glance. There was no need to mention those spiritual plants and pills. Yi Zhan's taste had long been spoiled by the system, and these things simply couldn't compare to those from the system. Seeing Yi Zhan walk around without taking anything, the Lin family patriarch couldn't help but feel a little embarrassed. He looked at him with eyes full of respect and sizing him up. Where did this divinity come from? There were so many things in the treasury, but he didn't even take a fancy to a single one of them. The Lin family patriarch felt uneasy. At this moment, Yi Zhan stopped as if he was attracted by something. The Lin family patriarch followed his gaze and saw that it was a cultivation technique. He couldn't help but sigh in relief. It would be embarrassing if Yi Zhan really didn't like any of them. What is this? The Lin family patriarch thought that he was referring to the cultivation technique and he hurriedly said, "This is the thunderclap fire technique. It's very lethal and very effective against evil things." Yi Zhan shook his head. "No, I'm talking about this." He shook the book slightly, and a piece of paper fell out from between the pages. He didn't know what material it was made of. It felt heavy to the touch, but it was light as a feather in his hand. The words on it were choppy and difficult to understand, and even the patterns were messy as if they were scribbles. Yi Zhan couldn't understand what they meant even after looking at them for a long time. "It's strange. Where did this come from? I've never seen it before." The Lin family patriarch revealed a puzzled expression. Logically speaking, There should be a record of everything in the treasury, but he could not find any record on this piece of paper. It was as if it had appeared out of thin air. After searching for a while, he could only give up. It should have fallen in by accident. I think it was stuck in the book by accident. Yeon looked at the paper in his hand. It looked ordinary, but for some reason, he couldn't put it down. It was as if there was a voice telling him that the contents of the paper were extremely important. It's just an ordinary piece of paper. There's nothing strange about it. Brother Yi, do you want to continue taking a look? I found a few kung fu books that you might need here. The Lin family patriarch's voice pulled Yeon back from his thoughts. He said without changing his expression, "It doesn't matter. I've made up my mind." He thought that Yeon had chosen the book, but who would have thought that he would actually put it down? I choose this piece of paper. The Lin family patriarch was dumbfounded, thinking that Yeon was joking. Brother Yi, are you joking? It's just an ordinary piece of paper. I've checked it just now and there's nothing special about it. There wasn't even any fluctuation of spiritual power. It was clear that the words and pictures on it were probably made up and written randomly. There was no reason for them to exist. You'd better take a look at other things. Yeon was serious. Thank you for your kindness, Patriarch Lin, but I've already made up my mind. Since I'm fond of it, perhaps it's fate. Since he had already said so much, the Lin family patriarch could not say anything more. There were so many things in the treasury that anyone would be tempted by. Furthermore, a supreme-grade marrow-cleansing pill could not be measured in spirit stones. The Lin family patriarch had prepared to pay a huge price. Other than the Lin family's inherited treasure, he would agree to Yeon anything he wanted. Who would have thought that he would choose such an unremarkable thing? To put it bluntly, that was something that nobody wanted. The Lin family patriarch felt a little apologetic and said, "How can I agree to that? Brother Yi, you should take a look at other things. I don't need anything else." If others were to hear this, they would definitely be envious. This was a rare opportunity. After all, it was the treasury of a large family. There were countless good things inside. Yet, Yeon had chosen a piece of broken paper. Anyone would think that there was something wrong with him. He turned a blind eye to so many priceless treasures. His expression was calm and without any greed. The Lin family patriarch's admiration for Yeon increased even more. Either this person had noble character, unquestionable integrity, and really didn't care about these worldly possessions, or he was very knowledgeable and had already seen something better. That was why he could be so calm. But no matter which one it was enough to prove that Yeon was not simple. In the end, the Lin family patriarch tried to squeeze a few cultivation techniques and magic treasures into his hands. He had originally wanted to keep Yeon for dinner, but surprisingly he wanted to leave. "Brother Yi, why don't you stay with me for a few more days?" Yeon politely declined. "Patriarch Lin, my sect's returning ceremony is just around the corner. There are too many things to do. Even today, I have to take some time out of my busy schedule. I really can't delay anymore." The Lin family patriarch felt strange. With Yeon's bearing, he should come from one of the 7 major sects. But now, he was in a small, newly established sect. It was inevitable that people would suspect his true identity. Was he a hermit expert? Or perhaps was he from one of those super large sects, but he had hidden his name, not wanting others to recognize him? With such a halo, the more the Lin family patriarch looked at Yeon, the more he felt that he was full of mystery. This person was definitely not as simple as he looked. During the break, the Lin family had already sent people to inquire about Yeon, and they had a relevant understanding of his deeds. Yeon still didn't know that they had made up many identities for him. "If that's the case, then I won't hold you further. I hope Brother Yi can take care of yourself." When the Lin family saw him off, Lin Yuanheng packed up his luggage and walked out. When everyone saw him dressed like that, they all looked a little confused. "Young master, what are you doing?" Lin Yuanheng seemed to have made up his mind. He said to the Lin family patriarch, "Father, I have decided that I will follow Elder Yi to join Tai Ching Sect." The Lin family was dumbfounded. Even Patriarch Lin was stunned for a moment before he reacted. "What did you say?" "I want to join Tai Ching Sect." According to the Lin family's strength, in addition to Lin Yuanheng's recovered foundation, he could probably join a big sect and become the disciple of a powerful elder, not to mention a small Tai Ching sect. The Lin family patriarch had already arranged everything. He had found the best sect and asked for his good friend's help to find Lin Yuanheng a good teacher. However, he had never expected that Lin Yuanheng would publicly express his desire to join Tai Ching sect. Hanger, have you thought thoroughly? Tai Ching Sect. The Lin family patriarch subconsciously glanced at Yi Zhan beside him and swallowed his words. He said tactfully, Tai Ching Sect has just been established not long ago, and your foundation has just been restored. I'm afraid it's not a good decision. To put it bluntly, the people in Tai Ching Sect were mixed good and bad, and the qualifications of the disciples were also mixed. What good things could he learn there? However, it was inappropriate to say this in front of Yi Zhan. Lin Yuanheng understood what he meant. Father, I know you're doing this for my own good, but I've already made up my mind. He looked at Yi Zhan. What does Elder Yi think? Yi Zhan shrugged. I'll follow whatever you want. As long as you can afford the spirit stones, you can join Tai Ching Sect. Upon hearing this unreliable statement, the Lin family members' expressions changed. This was the first time they had heard that a sect did not look at one's talent or cultivation, but only the amount of spirit stones one had paid. Tai Ching Sect was a weirdo. There was absolutely no other sect like it in the world. The Lin family patriarch was a little worried. It wasn't easy for Lin Yuanheng to recover from his suffering and restore his foundation. But now, he wanted to join such a sect. Wasn't it a waste of time? He had already wasted a lot of time and fallen behind his peers by too much. He would have to try very hard to make up for it in the future. Otherwise, he would not achieve much in this life. However, the Lin family patriarch couldn't say anything harsh due to Yi Zhan's presence. After a moment of deliberation, he said, Hanger, this is not a small matter. Would you reconsider for the sake of your future? Lin Yuanheng's eyes were firm. Father, I have considered it very clearly. If it wasn't for Elder Yi, my foundation couldn't have been restored so quickly. Since he chose to stay in Tai Ching Sect, the sect must have some extraordinary aspects. In fact, Yi Zhan joined the sect just to complete the system's mission. Patriarch Lin looked at Yi Zhan, who was next to him, and then at Lin Yuanheng. He knew his son's character. Once he had decided on something, he would not change his mind easily, so he sighed heavily. As you wish. Before they left, the Lin family patriarch repeatedly exhorted and asked Yi Zhan to take care of Lin Yuanheng in the sect. After bidding farewell to the Lin family patriarch, Yi Zhan and the others set out together. Alchemy King Ji Yushi stared unblinkingly at Yi Zhan as if he was looking at a rare animal. Those who didn't know would think that there was gold on his face. Yi Zhan felt uncomfortable and finally couldn't help but say, Why are you keep staring at me? Alchemy King Ji Yushi rubbed his hands together and revealed a brilliant smile that almost gave people goosebumps. Well, young brother Yi. Everyone couldn't help but reveal a strange expression. Alchemy King Ji Yushi and Yi Zhan's age difference was huge. In addition to their seniority, Alchemy King Ji Yushi had addressed Yi Zhan as Elder Yi as a form of respect. But now, they actually started to call each other brothers, which really made people laugh. Yi Zhan's face was also embarrassed. Alchemy King, just tell me if you have something to say. Well, where did you get those supreme-grade marrow cleansing pills from? Who refined them? Was there a pill formula? He had kept these questions in his heart for a long time, but he had never had the chance to ask. Now that he asked all in one breath, he felt as if he had solved some major life event. He looked at Yi Zhan with anticipation. Oh, this, Yi Zhan dragged his tone, tantalizing Alchemy King Ji Yushi. This is a secret, but I can tell you that I don't have the pill formula. Alchemy King Ji Yu's face was full of dejection. Sigh. I knew that the pill formula wouldn't be passed down to the world. Yi Zhan asked curiously, Can you develop a pill formula if there's only a pill? Alchemy King Ji Yushi shook his head. That's hard to tell. It's said that supreme-grade marrow cleansing pills are extremely difficult to be made. Many of the ingredients might have been lost. If you want to study the formula, one pill won't do. You'll need at least a few dozen. Yi Zhan had given a lot of the pills to the Lin family. Alchemy King Ji Yushi thought that was the limit and that he couldn't have any more. It wouldn't be good if they went back to the Lin family to ask for some. I see. Yi Zhan was indifferent. Why didn't you tell me earlier? I don't have the pill formula, but I have a lot of pills here. You can take and study them. He took out all the remaining pills in his interspace. Are these enough? Alchemy King Ji Yushi was completely dumbfounded. He thought he was dreaming. How can you have so many? Apart from those that had given to the Lin family, he couldn't even count how many Yi Zhan had taken out now. But there was one thing for sure: the amount was extremely terrifying and unimaginable. There were so many pills that he wouldn't feel any heartache spending them casually, let alone doing research. Alchemy King Ji Yushi couldn't help but ask, Are you really giving these to me? Yi Zan nodded and reminded him, "Don't stand on ceremony with me. Just focus on your research." Of course, he did not forget Lin Yuanheng beside him. "There are still some for you. Eat as much as you want. Finish them all." Lin Yuanheng couldn't help but swallow his saliva. Wouldn't it be wasteful to eat so many? Actually, a few dozen is enough. There's no need. Under Yi Zan's gaze, his voice became softer and softer. Yi Zan was solemn. "No, you have to finish them as soon as possible. This matter is very important to me." What a joke. If these two people didn't speed up and use all these pills up, he wouldn't be able to complete his task. However, Alchemy King Ji Yushi and Lin Yuanheng didn't understand the reason behind it. It was as if they would become sinners if they didn't finish them. They actually felt a little guilty when they faced Yi Zan. Lin Yuanheng looked at the Alchemy King for help. "Is there anything wrong if I eat so many pills?" If it was in the past, Alchemy King Ji Yushi would definitely stop such wasteful behavior. One must know that those were supreme-grade pills. How could he waste them like this? But now, he agreed with Yi Zan. After all, he had fed precious spiritual plants to ordinary horses, so what else he couldn't do? In comparison, it actually became somewhat reasonable for Lin Yuanheng to finish eating these. At least it was not for any animals or beasts, so it wasn't considered a waste. Alchemy King Ji Yushi was completely on Yi Zan's side. "Don't worry, young Master Lin. Supreme-grade marrow cleansing pills have mild effects. You'll be fine no matter how much you eat. At most, you'll experience indigestion." With the Alchemy King's words, Lin Yuanheng couldn't say anything more. He ate a large number of supreme-grade marrow cleansing pills in tears. If such a scene was seen by outsiders, they would definitely be heartbroken. These people really too wasteful. When Yi Zan returned to the sect, the people of Tai Ching's sect were a little curious because the two people who had gone out brought another person back. "Elder Yi, who is this?" "He's Lin Yuanheng, and he'll be joining our Tai Ching sect." Yi Zan's casual remark, coupled with Lin Yuanheng's low cultivation, made the others not think much of it. "By the way, distribute these pills to the other disciples." Looking at their distant figures, the disciple scratched his head. "The name sounds so familiar. I think I've heard it somewhere before." He thought for a long time and suddenly shouted, "Isn't the young master of the Lin family called Lin Yuanheng?" The disciple looked at the pills in the bag. They were very ordinary without spiritual energy. They were not even as good as the lowest level essence replenishment pills. He still distributed them to everyone since it was Yi Zan's order, including the elders. Shen Hai, Xie Yixuan, the second elder, the third elder, the fourth elder, and the others also received it. The second elder looked at the black pill in his eyes and revealed a contemptuous smile. "Yi Zan really dares to give us all kinds of trash. Does he think we're like those ordinary disciples who can be bought over with a little favor?" He casually threw the pill on the ground. The third and the fourth elders said, "We've thrown it away long ago. Not even dogs eat that kind of thing. Who knows what it's made of?" This group of people still didn't know that they would soon be slapped in the face soon. By the way, Alchemy King Ji Yushi and Yi Zan are very close now. He's so proud now that he even went to the Lin family's engagement banquet. Other than a few families that the Lin family was on good terms with, only powerful forces and sects received the invitation. Yi Zan also attended with Alchemy King Ji Yushi. Besides, the Alchemy King wanted to rope him in. He could also use this opportunity to get to know other people with high cultivation. No wonder these people would gather here to make sarcastic remarks. They also wanted to expand their network and meet more powerful people. There's nothing we can do about it since Yi Zan has so many spiritual plants. I'm afraid I'd also be tempted if I were an alchemist. The second elder laughed coldly. So what if he has many spiritual plants? So what if he has a good relationship with Alchemy King Ji Yushi? In any case, these alchemists won't stay here for long. Although this was what he said, everyone knew how great the benefits of befriending a powerful alchemist were. They could only say some sour words, but they couldn't do anything substantial. After all, Yi Zan was in full swing right now. Not only did he have Han Yu's support, but all the disciples in the sect were respectful to him, from the elders to the servants. Gifts blinded the eyes. Who else in Tai Ching's sect had not received Yi Zan's favor? It was even more difficult to deal with him now. Xie Yixuan's face was extremely ugly. Forget it, let him be proud for now. I don't believe that he can still be in the limelight during the sect returning ceremony. I heard that he even brought an outsider who was weak back here. He really thought that he founded Tai Ching Sect and can simply bring anyone back. Just as Shen Hai and Xie Yixuan were discussing, a confidant rushed in. Yi Zan brought Lin Yuanheng over. Everyone looked at each other, still a little confused. Lin Yuanheng? Which Lin Yuanheng? The young master of the Lin family, of course. Impossible. Even though the Lin family's young master is a good-for-nothing, the patriarch is his father. How could he allow his son to come to Tai Ching Sect? With the departure of the guests, the events that happened at the engagement banquet spread, and many people received the news. The Su family broke off the engagement in public. A supreme-grade marrow-cleansing pill had appeared. Young Master Lin's foundation had been restored. The one-year promise between the Lin family and the Su family. Any one of them would be shocking, not to mention so many of them happening together. In an instant, it set off a stormy wave among all the sects and forces. Of course, most of their attention was on the news of the supreme-grade marrow-cleansing pill. In the beginning, no one knew Yi Zan's true identity. However, the truth would come to light sooner or later. Although the Lin family patriarch wanted to hide it, some rumors were still spread. Shen Hai's face was ashen. You're saying that the mysterious man who followed Alchemy King Ji Yushi took out an ordinary black pill, but it turned out to be a supreme-grade marrow-cleansing pill that cured young Master Lin. The more the others heard, the more shocked they were. Alchemy King Ji Yushi only brought one person, and wasn't it Yi Zan? The two just happened to meet. Moreover, the man Yi Zan had brought back was also called Lin Yuanheng. There could not be such a coincidence in the world. When they thought of the pill that they had disdainfully thrown away, everyone's expression changed drastically. Could it be that the pill was? The third elder's expression was stiff as he said, I suddenly remembered that I have something to do. You guys continue. The fourth elder also quickly said, me too, I'll take my leave first. They left in a flash. Even the second elder began to look for the pills that he had just thrown away. He caught a glimpse of Shen Hai and Xie Yixuan's ugly expressions from the corner of his eye. He smiled awkwardly to cover his embarrassment. I just want to see if it's a supreme-grade marrow-cleansing pill. But the next second when he saw the pill on the ground, he swallowed it without caring about the dust on it. This scene was coincidentally seen by the third elder and the others who had just returned, and the scene immediately turned extremely embarrassing. Would you believe me if I said that it was an illusion? It was no wonder that the second elder would be so dismissive of his image. That was a supreme-grade marrow-cleansing pill. Even Lin Yuanheng's foundation could be restored, let alone them. For a time, the disciples of Tai Ching Sect who knew the situation were all busy. They had thought it was an ordinary pill. After all, Yi Zan didn't explain to them. Therefore, they had either thrown it away or given it to people. Only very few people ate it. Now that he knew the truth, he was filled with regret. Where is my pill? Where did it go? How could they have known that the black ordinary-looking pill was actually a supreme-grade marrow-cleansing pill? Also, there were some who started fighting because their pills went missing and they suspected that someone had stolen them. Luckily, after Yi Zan found out the truth, he had people send many pills over, and this calmed the disciples. Han Yu came back after finishing her business and she learned of Yi Zan's story. Looking at the chaos in Tai Ching Sect, she suddenly had a headache. He gave supreme-grade marrow-cleansing pills to all the people in the sect. If the news spread, many sects and forces would ask them for the pills. Who didn't want to use these pills to get an extremely talented spirit root? You've given me a big surprise. Yi Zan chuckled, don't worry, sect master. I didn't waste anything, and I didn't forget that everyone in the sect either. Everyone gets one pill. I definitely won't favor one over the other. Han Yu was so shocked that she couldn't speak. Was this her main point? Those were supreme-grade marrow-cleansing pills. Even in the upper realm, it was a rare existence. Who was this Yi Zan? He used them just like that. It was fine if he gave it to the Lin family. After all, the Lin family had high status, but giving them to this group of people from the sect, she wasn't undervaluing herself. She was clear about the strength of these disciples. According to their talent and aptitude, it was indeed a waste to use such good medicinal pills. But Yi Zan didn't think so. It's up to you. It's yours anyway. Han Yu didn't bother to say anything. She could only say that she was already numb to it. Since the time Yi Zan entered Tai Ching Sect and his various extravagant actions, this person was simply a walking goldmine. Seeing that another person was standing beside Yi Zan, Han Yu knew Lin Yuanheng's identity without his introduction. To get her to take care of him, The Lin family head had already sent many gifts to her. When the boxes of gifts were brought over, everyone was dumbfounded. Many disciples of Tai Ching sect were whispering to each other. Is this the Lin family's young master? It's true. Didn't you see that there were so many treasures? They were all sent by the Lin family. Elder Yi is too awesome. He can even make young Master Lin follow him by just attending an engagement banquet. A lot of things happened at the banquet. The Su family broke off the engagement in public. It was even more exciting than the storybooks. It was a pity that I wasn't there to witness the incidents. Who are the people at the Lin family's engagement banquet? They're all important figures. We're not qualified given our status. Lin Yuanheng was known to be a good-for-nothing. Otherwise, Su Qingyun would not have broken off the engagement. However, it was different now. His spirit root had been repaired. With his previous talent, it was possible for him to catch up if he worked hard. The Lin family master knew that the position of an elder in the Tai Ching sect could be bought with money, so he had put in a lot of effort. Of course, he also had the intention of repaying Yi Xuananan. If those rare treasures were exchanged for spirit stones, the number would be frightening. Han Yu couldn't help but sigh. Logically speaking, now that my Tai Ching sect has been established, all the elder positions are full. There is no more empty seat. It was funny to tell that there were dozens of elders in total, although Tai Ching sect was not a big sect. This number could be said to be very terrifying. Even those big sects didn't have so many elders. After all, it wasn't easy to become an elder. One needed to have strong cultivation and have made contributions to the sect. Not just anyone could become an elder. However, Tai Ching sect didn't care about anything. If there was something in common between these elders, it was that they all spent spirit stones and bought the position with money. But since you've come with such sincerity, I naturally can't refuse you. You can become a guest elder of my Tai Ching sect. Considering Lin Yuanheng's special identity, she couldn't let him be an ordinary disciple. In addition, the Lin family patriarch had sent so many generous gifts. After much consideration, Han Yu arranged such a position for him. At this time, she still didn't know that there would be more than a dozen more guest elders in the future. All of them would join Tai Ching sect because of Yi Zan. But this was a story in the future. Lin Yuanheng did not put on any airs and he bowed slightly to Han Yu. Thank you, sect master. No one else had any objections. Who wouldn't be happy to have a rich elder in the sect? The generous gifts given by the Lin family patriarch were right here, and anyone who saw them would be engrossed. Lin Yuanheng's matter had been resolved, but there was still a headache matter to Han Yu. The Lin family patriarch has sent a message, saying that many people are asking about the supreme-grade marrow cleansing pill. Although most of them were stopped by him, there are some things that can't be hidden anyway. Han Yu seemed to have already guessed it. If the outside world knew that Yi Zan was here and that he had so many supreme-grade marrow cleansing pills, the door of the Tai Ching sect would probably be broken by these people. Yi Zan didn't care. The sect returning ceremony is coming soon. We might as well take this opportunity to set off. Even if those people want to find us, they won't be able to catch us up. Han Yu nodded. That's a good idea. The thing she hated the most was interpersonal relationships, especially when she had to deal with those forces. It was not good to fall out with them, but it was unnecessary if she pretended to be polite to them. It was purely a waste of time. She might as well use the free time to cultivate. Han Yu quickly made a decision. Then we'll do as Elder Yi said. We'll set off immediately. The seventh elder couldn't help but ask, there's still one more problem. If we leave and those people can't find us, what if they become angry and cause trouble for the sect? The remaining disciples won't be able to resist at all. Yi Zan and Han Yu couldn't help but fall into deep thought. The sect returning ceremony would test the overall strength of the sect, so all the powerful disciples would go together. With the current situation of the sect, the remaining disciples would not be able to protect the sect at all. They didn't want their lair to be destroyed before they returned. Seventh elder's words are very reasonable. We must first resolve this matter. However, if a portion of the disciples were left to guard, their strength would be greatly reduced since they were not strong. Just as Han Yu was frowning, Alchemy King Ji Yushi came up, thanks to Elder Yi's care by giving me spiritual plants and supreme-grade pills. I'm willing to stay to guard Tai Ching sect. Han Yu couldn't help but be happy when she heard this. Is the Alchemy King serious? According to the time that she had agreed with Alchemy King Ji Yushi, it was time for them to leave. She didn't expect that he would choose to stay. Of course. Alchemy King Ji Yushi nodded. The current Tai Ching sect was simply heaven to him. There were spiritual plants to be used and pills to be researched. Only a fool would choose to leave this place. Moreover, he was sure that Yi Zhan was not simple. He wanted to ride Yi Zhan's coattails by guarding Tai Ching's sect. It would not hurt them either. After all, they could refine pills anywhere, let alone in Tai Ching's sect which had so many materials. With Alchemy King Ji Yuzai's help, Yi Zhan and the others didn't have any worries. This group of alchemy cultivators might not be very strong, but the key was their connections. After all, there was a saying that circulated, you can offend anyone but not alchemy cultivators. Moreover, it was Alchemy King Ji Yushi holding down the fort. Even those who wanted to find trouble and look for the pills had to properly weigh their strength. Then all thanked Alchemy King Ji Yushi. After everything in Tai Ching's sect was settled, Han Yu and the others immediately set off. In addition to some weak disciples, there were also several elders left in the sect. Although everyone in Tai Ching's sect had taken the supreme grade marrow cleansing pill, their qualifications were mixed good and bad. After all, these people could enter the sect as long as they paid spirit stones. Therefore, most of the disciples of the Tai Ching sect were weak. The supreme grade marrow cleansing pill could only clean the spirit root, but it would not change much of the cultivation. If the aptitude was too poor, then there was nothing could be done. However, under the effects of the pill, most of the disciples had changed from the original 3 or 4 spirit roots, which were mixed spiritual roots, to double spiritual roots, and even supreme grade single spiritual roots. To them, it was like a pie falling from the sky and they were extremely grateful to Yi Zhan. There weren't even a few people with mixed spirit roots in the entire team. This situation was extremely rare even in those big sects. Han Yu suggested to Lin Yuanheng, in fact, you should focus on your cultivation in the sect. The Lin family patriarch doesn't want you to travel a long distance either. Lin Yuanheng shook his head and refused. I want to go out and have a look. This time is also a kind of training for me. Ever since he had become a disabled person, the Lin family head had been worried that he would be injured and had not allowed him to travel far. It was not easy to get this opportunity, so how could he give it up? Moreover, Lin Yuanheng had other considerations. His intuition told him that it was definitely right to follow Yi Zhan. Seeing that Lin Yuanheng was so insistent, Han Yu could not say anything more. Then let's go now. I'll leave the sect's matters to Alchemy King Ji Yushi. Don't worry, Sect Master Han. Brother Yi's matters are my matters. His sect is naturally my sect. Hearing the way Alchemy King Ji Yushi addressed Yi Zhan, Han Yu's eyelids couldn't help twitching. In such a short time, Yi Zhan was able to become brothers with the Alchemy King. This was also a kind of ability. The group of people left in a grandiose manner. As expected, not long after they left, several groups of people came to visit. All of them came for the supreme grade marrow cleansing pill. The first to arrive was the Qingcheng sect, which was also a famous sect nearby. The group of people was arrogant. The Lin family also had supreme grade marrow cleansing pills, but everyone thought that Lin Yuanheng had finished them. The sect did not dare to find trouble with the Lin family either. They had their eyes on Tai Ching's sect since they had found out that the sect had only been established not long ago. Of course, it was easy to bully the sect. Even if Yi Zhan couldn't take out the supreme grade marrow cleansing pill, he could still force him to tell where he had gotten the pill from. I heard that Tai Ching's sect had exterminated Blood Soul sect. The elder of the Qingcheng sect didn't think much of it. Did you see it with your own eyes? Although everyone said so, there were very few people who had witnessed it with their own eyes. Over time, everyone thought that it was just a rumor. After all, the difference in strength between the two sects was too great. It was simply impossible for Tai Ching's sect to exterminate the Blood Soul sect. There were rumors in the outside world that the Blood Soul sect had offended some mysterious superpower, which was why they were exterminated. Perhaps the people of Tai Ching's sect are deliberately mystified, or they deliberately said it was their own doing. They didn't think about how it was possible to do that with their strength. With this in mind, the sect did not take Tai Ching's sect seriously. As soon as they arrived at the mountain gate, they were not polite at all. Ask your sect master and the elder who has the supreme grade marrow cleansing pill to come out. Who would have thought that the one who came out was Alchemy King Ji Yushi? Why is the Alchemy King here? Everyone couldn't help but be shocked. After all, Alchemy King Ji Yuzai's whereabouts were unknown, and not many people knew that Han Yu had invited him over to teach. Sect Master Han Yu, Elder Yi Zhan, and the other elders are not here. Everyone didn't dare to show any disrespect to Alchemy King Ji Yushi, and they restrained their arrogance. What? You're saying that they've already left to participate in the sect returning ceremony? After all, it's just a small sect, and you all know the rules. The sect returning ceremony is around the corner, so they naturally have to set off in advance. Looking at Alchemy King Ji Yushi, everyone was dumbfounded. Finally, the Qingsheng sect's elder reacted. I don't believe it. How could there be such a coincidence? Could it be that they're saying this to avoid us? Alchemy King Ji Yu's eyes face turned cold. What? Are you suspecting that I'm lying? If you don't believe me, you can investigate it yourself. Seeing that Alchemy King Ji Yushi was angry, the people of the Qingsheng sect didn't dare to fall out with him even if they wanted to. Not to mention that Alchemy King Ji Yu's strength was high and was the target everyone wanted to curry favor with, but he was also highly respected and was the object of respect for all alchemists. If they offended him, most of the alchemists would probably stop selling them pills. The people of the Qingsheng sect looked embarrassed and said with a smile, "That's not what we meant." Alchemy King Ji Yushi didn't buy it. Then what do you mean? Anyway, I've already said that. It's up to you to believe me or not. Yes, yes, yes. Of course, we believe you. The people of the Qingsheng sect had no choice but to leave, but they secretly ordered, you all keep a close eye on Tai Ching sect. If there is any movement, report it immediately. Other than them, other sects came one after another, but Alchemy King Ji Yushi sent them away. All the forces knew that Tai Ching sect had Alchemy King Ji Yushi in charge, so they didn't dare to be too presumptuous. The news of Yi Zan and the others leaving the city couldn't be hidden, but it was already too late when the others received the news. Yi Zan and the others had gone too far, so it was unrealistic to catch them up now. The sun had set in the west, and it was almost evening. Seeing that everyone had been on the road for a whole day, Han Yu ordered a short rest. Now that they had all left the city, it was likely that the group of people would catch them up. Let's rest for a while. Yi Zan didn't expect the sect returning ceremony to be so troublesome. They even had to rush. Sect Master, where are we going to attend the ceremony? The sect returning ceremony will be held in the capital of the central region, which is very far away from us. Even if we use a flying type magic tool, it will probably take nearly a month. Yi Zan was shocked. He didn't expect the place to be so remote. Then we won't be able to make it in time. Lin Yuanhang smiled and said, Elder Yi, you don't have to worry. There are teleportation arrays in some towns. We can use them to greatly shorten the distance. I think it will only take 10 days to half a month. Yi Zan couldn't help but mutter, it's so advanced. There's even a teleportation array. In that case, why don't they set one up in every place? It'll be more convenient for everyone. Lin Yuanhang's expression was a little strange. This was common sense, but Yi Zan seemed to know nothing about it. After all, he had just reached this continent not long ago, so he was not as good as the locals. Moreover, Yi Zan did not use a teleportation array when he left his home, so he was not clear about the situation here. Building a teleportation formation consumes a great amount of manpower and money, and it requires a formation master of level 7 and above to set it up. Formation masters are extremely rare nowadays, and those of the level 7 and above are even rarer. Lin Yuanhang patiently explained. It involved the problem of spatial distance. If an array master was not qualified enough, it was easy to cause major casualties. Therefore, not every place had a teleportation array. Only those prosperous big towns, which were important hubs, would have a teleportation array. The nearest teleportation array was in Shazhou City. They would probably need to travel for another night to reach there. In addition, you have to pay a large number of spirit stones to use the teleportation formation. Common people can't afford to use it. Fortunately, the current Tai Ching sect was able to afford the cost of so many people. Even so, it was not a small expense. I see that everyone is tired today. Why don't we continue our journey tomorrow morning? It's quite dangerous to walk at night. Han Yu thought for a moment and felt that there should still be time. All right, as Elder Yi said. Everyone set up camp and rested. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Yi Zan took out the paper he had obtained from the Lin family and began to study it. What the hell is this? Although there was no spiritual power fluctuation on the paper, Yi Zan believed in his intuition that it must have a powerful origin. He didn't recognize the words and pictures on it at all, so he had no place to start. He had read many ancient books these days, but he had not found any records of similar words. It was as if these words did not exist on this continent at all. It was confusing. So you're here? An ethereal female voice sounded in his ear. It turned out to be Han Yu. What are you looking at? You're so serious. Yi Zan quickly put the paper away, but she had already seen it. Her sharp eyes noticed the patterns and words on it, and her pupils shrank. A touch of shock flashed through her beautiful eyes. How did you get this? From Han Yu's tone, she seemed to know the origin of the paper, so Yi Zan quickly asked, "Do you recognize the words and pictures on this paper?" Han Yu didn't answer but asked, "How did you get it?" "I obtained it from the Lin family's treasury." Han Yu's face was filled with rare shock and loss of self-control. "No, it's impossible. Why is this thing here?" Her heart was in turmoil. Yi Zan had never seen Han Yu lose her composure like this. Seeing her reaction, he was even more curious. "What is this? Do you know its true origin?" Han Yu didn't say anything. She just looked at him deeply and returned to her previous ice-cold beauty appearance. However, if one looked closely, one would find that she had not completely calmed down. "This isn't something you should be asking. You'd better give it to me." Yi Zan was a little unhappy to hear this. Han Yu's attitude made it clear that this thing was not ordinary. How could he give up a treasure in his hands? Seeing that Yi Zan was unwilling, Han Yu didn't want to force him either. After all, this thing was only an incomplete part, and it was useless in his hands. There were extremely few people in the lower realm who knew its origin. Since that's the case, then keep it safe and don't show it in front of anyone. Han Yu's secretive attitude made Yi Zan want to know more. "Why are you not telling me what this is?" "It's for your own good. With your current cultivation and strength, it's not suitable for you to know." Han Yu seemed to have fallen into his memory. One must know that this thing came from the divine realm. For some reason, it had fallen into the lower realm. However, Yi Zan was not someone who gave up easily. Han Yu was helpless because she was pestered by him. "I can only tell you now that you only have a small part of the fragments. After you collect all of them, you will eventually know without me telling you." It was just an excuse. With Yi Zan's cultivation, how could he have gathered all these things? Besides, these things were difficult to obtain. "I was wondering why this thing looked so strange, so it's just an incomplete part. No wonder I could not understand it." Han Yu did not say anything. She just glanced at Yi Zan and turned to leave. Knowing that he could not get any more information out of it, Yi Zan put the paper away. Perhaps one day, he would be able to collect other parts of this thing and figure out its true origin. The group continued their journey and soon arrived at a city with a teleportation array. After paying a large sum of spirit stone fees, the distance to the central province was much shorter. This teleportation array is convenient. I wonder how much money I can make with this. However, the array needed to be maintained regularly and cost many spirit stones, so it was costly. Sects without some financial resources could not afford it. Ding. Random mission. Consume 1,000,000 supreme grade spirit stones. Mission success reward. 10,000 prodigal points. Mission failure will randomly deduct prodigal points. Effective period, 7 days. One must know that top grade spirit stones were difficult to obtain, not to mention supreme grade spirit stones. The common ones on the market were low grade or mid grade. One supreme grade spirit stone could be exchanged for 100 top grade spirit stones, and so on. Supreme grade spirit stones contained a large amount of spiritual energy, so it was a waste to use them as currency. Therefore, they were circulated in the market rarely. After reading the mission clearly, Yi Zan was left speechless. 1,000,000 supreme grade spirit stones. He would not be able to spend all of it even if he did not sleep or rest for 7 days. If he stayed in this place, he would not finish the mission. Perhaps I have to go to Jingdu. The things there are much more expensive. Maybe I can finish the mission there. The Tai Ching sect disciple saw Yi Zan mumbling something and frowning. He thought Yi Zan had encountered some difficulty and asked, "Elder Yi, what happened?" "Nothing. I'm just thinking about how to spend the money." The others were confused. Why did Yi Zan worry about how to spend his money? How many spirit stones did he have? Seeing that they were getting closer and closer to the central province, the people of the Tai Ching sect were a little excited. The central province was far away. If it were not for the sect returning ceremony this time, they would not have had the chance to come here in their lifetime. Jingdu was the most prosperous city in the central province. Every ceremony would be held here. Cultivators were as many as sands, and experts were uncountable. It was very likely that an unremarkable old man on the side of the road was a grand elder of some sect. There were rows upon rows of shops on the street, and the sounds of hawking could be heard constantly. The perfect golden pill is made by the supreme alchemist. It has no side effects and only costs 1,000 low-grade spiritual stones. Come and take a look. It's the fur of a sprinting wolf. It's top quality and flawless. I'll sell it at any price. Supreme grade magic weapon, the divine thunderflame ball. It was made by the chief disciple of a weapon forging grandmaster. It's now being sold for only 800 low-grade spirit stones. Everyone found it very refreshing. Some even wanted to buy something, but Yeon stopped them. If you're not afraid of being scammed, then go ahead. You cannot fully trust these hawkers. The disciple immediately revealed a puzzled look. What if they are authentic? We could miss a golden opportunity. Yeon rolled his eyes. If there's anything good, why would they sell it to you? These street hawkers were not trustworthy. They would say anything to sell their goods. They were good at selecting their prey. They could tell if a person was local or not immediately. They would not provoke those powerful sects and only pick the people from other places. After all, they sold their things on their stalls. They could pack up and run away at any time. No matter how great one's ability was, it was impossible to find a needle in a haystack. After listening to Yeon's analysis, the disciple felt that it was very reasonable. I'm not going. Who would have thought Yeon would walk over by himself in the next second? Elder Yi, what are you doing? There are too many scammers here. You won't be able to differentiate them. I will do it. There were plenty of places to spend money in Jingdu, so he did not have to worry about using all his spirit stones. Yeon did not want to waste his spirit stones, so he decided to go to the shops first. Yeon liked the treasure pavilion in the center of the building. It was gorgeous and exquisite. The things inside must be expensive, which was exactly what he wanted. Who would have thought that he would be stopped at the door? The servant saw that Yeon was dressed in ordinary clothes and was a human realm level 2, so he said impatiently, "We're closing." Looking at the people coming and going in the shop in broad daylight, Yeon could not help but say, "Don't you have other people in your shop?" The servant sized Yeon up with a bit of contempt in his eyes. "Yes, but you should take a look at who they are. You're just low-level cultivators. I'm afraid you can't even afford a single part. Please leave. Why don't you go and ask around? This is not a place for a lowly person like you." Discrimination existed everywhere, but Yeon did not expect a mere shopguard in Jingdu would look down on people like a dog. Yeon did not know that Treasure Pavilion was famous in Jingdu. They were even more expensive, but the items were also good. People from the 7 major sects often came here. Hence, some small sects did not dare to set foot in it easily. Yeon teased, "I'd like to ask you, what is this place? Don't you guys serve humans?" Before the servant could react, he subconsciously replied, "Of course." Seeing the smile on Yeon's lips, he was stunned for a moment before he came back to his senses and said furiously, "Hurry up and leave. We don't welcome you here. If you continue to disturb us, don't blame me for being impolite." He waved Yeon away like a fly. Yeon glanced at him coldly and turned to the hawker next to him. The servant spat to the side, "You arrogant prick." The hawker was right next to them and witnessed the entire scene of Yeon being driven out. He could not help but show a sympathetic look. "What do you want?" Yeon pointed casually, but before he could say anything, the hawker said, "You have good eyes. It is a supreme-grade defensive magic weapon made by a master refiner." It was only later that he realized that Yeon probably did not have many spirit stones. He immediately gave up. Perhaps it was sympathy, but he did not raise the price. "If you want it, 100 low-grade spirit stones." The price was not pricey. This item was also the cheapest one on the stall. "What I mean is wrap up everything else except this one." For a moment, the hawker thought he was hallucinating. "What did you say?" Yeon repeated, "I said I want to wrap up the rest." The hawker was a little speechless. Did Yeon get bullied at Treasure Pavilion and come here to have fun? His expression suddenly turned cold. "If you are joking, please go somewhere else. I still have to do business here." A supreme-grade spirit stone fell in front of the stall owner. Under the refraction of the sun, it emitted a strange brilliance. Is that enough? One must know that this was a supreme-grade spirit stone. It was more than enough. The items on the stall only added up to a few hundred mid-grade spirit stones at most. The hawker's eyes widened, and he stuttered, It's enough, but I don't have enough change." He had never seen a supreme-grade spirit stone before. "It's okay. Keep the change." After Yeon had walked far away, the hawker hurriedly took the supreme-grade spirit stone in his hand. The spiritual energy was overflowing, and it was definitely not fake. It felt like a dream. The other stall owners were shocked and envious. Why don't they open the stall at that place? The hawker took the supreme grade spirit stone and ran away, afraid that Yeon would regret it when he came back to his senses. After all, his pile of things was a mess and not worth that much. The servant of Treasure Pavilion was dumbfounded. He saw everything and regretted his attitude so much that he had butterflies in his stomach. This low-level cultivator had supreme grade spirit stone. If he was the one receiving the supreme grade spirit stone, he could earn tons of commission. Unfortunately, it was too late to regret it. The disciples of the Tai Ching sect saw Yeon walking over with many things in his arms. "Elder Yi, did you go to stock up on supplies?" he subconsciously blurted out. "I just casually bought some things." The 6th elder and 7th elder also came over curiously. They wanted to see what Yeon bought. They could not help but shake their heads and say, "Elder Yi, you've been scammed. They're all worthless and of no use." The previous disciple looked at Yeon in shock. "Didn't you say you won't be scammed?" Yeon said righteously, 1,000 golds can't buy happiness. Moreover, he could get back the spirit stones he spent in another way. After all, it was a system mission, and everything was for the sake of prodigal points. But the others did not know this and were speechless at Yeon's wasteful behavior. However, Yeon had money, so they could not say anything. Under everyone's puzzled and envious eyes, Yeon carried the pile of miscellaneous things into the room. Looking at the pile of things, Yeon felt a little awkward. He did not want to throw them away because he used spirit stones to buy them. However, he did not know what to do with them if he kept them. "I heard that some people had found treasures at the stalls. I don't know if I'll have the luck." After a rough scan, Yeon found some elixirs and magic weapons, but they were not as good as the hawker had boasted. The quality was average, and he did not know what the rest were. Yeon picked up one of them and studied it carefully, but he was not good at identifying the items. After looking at it for a long time, he could not see any mystery. "It would be great if the system could help me detect it." He could not help but sigh. The next second, a notification sound rang in his mind. Ding! Detected the host's request. "Do you want to spend prodigal points to activate the scanning system?" Yeon's eyes lit up. There was such a good thing. However, when he looked at the prodigal points that needed to be activated, he immediately showed a pained expression. "Why is it so expensive? System, why don't you rob me instead?" Although Yeon complained, he still had to spend it. It just so happened that Yeon had completed his mission earlier and had accumulated tons of prodigal points. Although he was distressed, he could still deal with it. Activate. Scanning system activated. Scanning. Grade 5 elixir. Jade Dew Spirit Restoration Pill detected. Waterproof Pearl detected. 4th grade Heavenly Fire Talisman detected. Normal Jade detected. In an instant, all the items' names, information, grade, and other values appeared in front of Yeon. Yeon looked at them one by one and understood them. He could not help but exclaim, "This is too convenient." However, after looking around, these things were ordinary, and nothing special about them. They're all worthless things. Yeon was not surprised by this result. After all, no good stuff could be found in a small stall. When he saw the corner, he stopped. "What's this?" What attracted Yeon's attention was a stone. Punlai Immortal Stone detected, a specialty of Punlai Immortal Island. Yeon was curious about this stone because he had never heard of the name of the stone before. Punlai Immortal Island. What is that place? Furthermore, the description of the stone was very vague. It only told Yeon it was a local specialty and nothing else. This stone was black and emitted a black jade-like luster. Other than its color, it was no different from other stones, but it was much lighter. Yeon tried to inject spiritual power into it, but nothing happened. There was no reaction. No matter how he tested it, there was no reaction. It looked like a pretty stone and nothing special. Forget it. I'll keep it first. There was nothing special about this pile of things except this so-called Punlai Immortal Stone. Yeon had given some items to the others. As for the trash, he had thrown them all away. The next day, Yeon appeared in the same spot as yesterday. The hawkers along the street recognized this god of fortune at a glance. It immediately caused a great sensation. After all, this man had supreme-grade spirit stones, so how could they not have a deep impression of him? "Fellow cultivator, come and take a look. I have a cultivation technique passed down from my ancestors. It is said to be created by a super strong elite. If you cultivate it to the peak stage, you can even step on the void and shatter it. Forget it. Your cultivation technique is lousy. Why don't you take a look at my exclusive elixir? You can increase your cultivation by eating one pill. Advancing will no longer be a problem for you. I think you're all just bragging. Why don't you take a look at my shop? I'm honest with the young and the old, and the price is fair. The hawker tried to promote himself in front of Yi Zan, hoping that he could take care of his business. Who would have thought that Yi Zan would ask, "Are your things expensive?" Did he spend all his spirit stones yesterday and was running out of spirit stones? Was that why he was asking this question? The other hawkers looked at each other, and the atmosphere was a little awkward. Why would they be so enthusiastic if they could not make a profit? Every hawker became dispirited. A supreme grade spirit stone was probably all he had. How could he possibly take out another one today? There were still a few hawkers who were unwilling to give up. Our food is good and cheap, it's affordable. Yi Zan immediately turned around and left after hearing this, leaving them scratching their heads. What are you doing? I already said that our things aren't expensive, the hawker asked. Yi Zan replied without even turning his head, I only want the expensive stuff. Everyone was dumbfounded. Yi Zan asked them the price because he wanted to buy an expensive one, not because he had no more spiritual stones. At first, the crowd was still suspicious. Then, Yi Zan took out another supreme grade spirit stone and bought everything in the stall without hesitation. Only then did they realize that Yi Zan wasn't joking. The stall owner almost went crazy. It was another supreme grade spirit stone. Fellow cultivator, take a look at mine. I have what you want. They are all the most expensive. Even those who had said their things were cheap and good had changed their words. The price soared so much that passers-by cast strange looks at him. They didn't see Yi Zan, who was surrounded by the crowd, but only heard the sky-high prices. These hawkers must be crazy about money. No one would buy it at such a high price. You're wrong. Some people really want to buy it. Yesterday, a fat sheep appeared here and spent a supreme grade spirit stone. Today, he came again. It's no wonder that these hawkers would raise the price. No way, no way. A supreme grade spirit stone? Which family does this wastrel from? He's not even afraid of being punished by buying these trashy things. Maybe he has tons of spirit stones and has nowhere to spend them, but he'll be happy to. But he doesn't have to be so wasteful, he's really nuts. Many passers-by were attracted to the stall and wanted to see what was going on. They saw Yi Zan take out a supreme grade spirit stone and buy everything without blinking. This kind of reckless extravagance made people speechless. One had to know that there were too many low-quality goods on the stalls. Many of them were just there to make the stalls look full. There was no good stuff to buy at all. Even if the customers wanted to refund, these stall owners were as cunning as foxes and would slip away in advance. Even the people of the 7 major sects aren't so generous. Where did this person come from? It's a new face. Is that guy from another place? Isn't the sect returning ceremony going to be held soon? Yi Zan spent money like it was nothing. Even passers-by felt heartache, but his expression didn't even change. It was as if all this was nothing to him and not worth mentioning. Finally, someone couldn't stand it anymore and asked, Fellow cultivator, what's the point of buying these things? Yi Zan said very calmly, it's not of much use, but it can make me happy. No amount of money can buy my happiness. When everyone heard this, they were speechless and couldn't say anything to refute Yi Zan. D*MN. This person was showing off to them. They were furious. Was this the difference between people? In the end, more and more people came to watch the show, and even the people from Treasure Pavilion heard the news. What's the situation over there? Why are there so many people? I heard a young man bought all the things on the stall with supreme grade spirit stones. Treasure Pavilion's manager's son immediately revealed a surprised expression. There's new. Most of the people who traded here were disciples of big sects, but it was rare to see such a generous person. Moreover, he was even using supreme grade spirit stones to buy those worthless things. That's really strange. Is that guy picking up scraps there? Go and check the situation. Although Treasure Pavilion earned a lot of money every day, this was the first time manager's son had seen someone spend so much money. He couldn't help but be curious and sent someone to investigate. He heard Yi Zan's words, 1,000 gold can't buy my happiness. Why didn't such a generous customer come to our Treasure Pavilion? No one would ever complain about earning more money. Even a person like manager's son was amazed by Yi Zan's wealth. Manager Sun didn't notice the guilty look on the servant's face when he complained. Yi Zan had bought everything from the hawkers along the way. Just as he was about to leave, he heard someone calling him. "Fellow cultivator, please hold on." Turning around, he saw an unfamiliar middle-aged man with a golden abacus in his hand. It was a special magic tool. It was Manager Sun who had the intention of befriending Yi Zan. Yi Zan was willing to spend so much money on a stall. Hence, Manager Sun was determined to get this wealthy customer into Treasure Pavilion. He might be able to earn a lot of spirit stones. Without waiting for Yi Zan to ask, he introduced himself. "I'm the manager of Treasure Pavilion. Why don't you go inside and take a look? I'm sure the things inside will be thousands of times better than the ones in the stalls." Manager Sun wasn't bragging. Most top-quality pills, magic weapons, and spiritual pets were in Treasure Pavilion. There was also an auction house in Jingdu. The auction house and Treasure Pavilion took up most of the profits, leaving other shops with tiny profits. Manager Sun thought that Yi Zan didn't know Jingdu very well. He suspected Yi Zan didn't know about Treasure Pavilion, which was why he had gone to the stall. Now Yi Zan would be tempted after the introduction from Manager Sun. However, Yi Zan did not even look at Manager Sun. "Treasure Pavilion, I know. It's the one shop that didn't welcome me last time." Manager Sun's expression changed slightly. He said embarrassedly, "Did such a thing happen? Is there a misunderstanding?" A nearby hawker saw Yi Zan being chased out that day and quickly added, "It's not a misunderstanding. We all saw it. This gentleman was chased out by your servant." Then, the hawker revealed a gloating smile. "Speaking of which, I have to thank you all. If it weren't for your lowly servant looking down on this generous gentleman, I'm afraid he wouldn't have come to our place. Otherwise, we will not have the opportunity to earn so many spirit stones." Manager Sun's face suddenly turned gloomy. He looked at the talkative hawker, who quickly hid in the crowd and disappeared. Since the hawker had the supreme grade spirit stones, he didn't even need to set up a stall. For a moment, Manager Sun's mood was extremely complicated. Initially, his pavilion could have reaped a large number of spirit stones. However, his servant had ruined their precious opportunity. He felt countless spirit stones flying away from his hands. Initially, the spirit stones in the hands of those small stalls should have belonged to them. When he thought of this, he suddenly flew into a rage. "Who is it? Hurry and come out here." The people of Treasure Pavilion immediately kept quiet out of fear. They looked at each other, no one daring to admit it. Manager Sun's voice became colder and harsher. "Who is it? Step out now, don't make me come to you personally. Otherwise, all of you will bear the consequences." Seeing that the matter had been exposed, the servant knelt in front of Yi Zan with a plop, and cried, "I was rude and ignorant. Please be magnanimous. Please don't hold it against me." Yi Zan hadn't forgotten how arrogant the servant had been. Now that the tables had turned, Yi Zan said with a faint smile, "What if I insist?" The servant was stunned. "I'm telling you, don't look down on others in the future. However, I'm not sure you will have a bright future anymore." Manager Sun knew how to conduct himself well. Without waiting for Yi Zan to speak, he directly said, "You're fired. From now on, you have nothing to do with Treasure Pavilion. Someone, take him away." "My lord, I know I was wrong. Please forgive me." The servant was dragged away and kept begging for mercy. Yi Zan looked on coldly. He had brought this upon himself. Manager Sun smiled and said, "My subordinate had eyes but failed to see things clearly. I have offended you. Now, this person has no relationship with my Treasure Pavilion. I wonder if you are satisfied with this punishment." Just barely. It was also one of the reasons why Yi Zan had chosen to wander around the stalls near Treasure Pavilion these days. They didn't let him in back then, but now this group of people wanted to invite him politely. Manager Sun made an inviting gesture. "Please do me the honor of having a seat. I'll prepare some tea." Since Manager Sun had already said so, it would be rude to refuse. Yi Zan nodded in agreement. He also wanted to see what good things Treasure Pavilion had. He led Yi Zan to the second floor of the Treasure Pavilion, which was used to receive some distinguished guests or people with status. When the people in the hall saw this, they couldn't help but look at him. "Who is this person? He looks unfamiliar. I don't think I've seen him before. It shouldn't be a local sect in Jingdu. Or is he from one of those sects outside Jingdu?" They weren't the only ones guessing Yi Zan's identity. Even Manager Sun was curious about Yi Zan. "May I ask where you come from? How should I address you?" "My surname is Yi, and I am an elder of the Tai Ching Sect. I come here to participate in the sect returning ceremony." Manager's son couldn't recall anything about the Tai Ching sect. The name was too unfamiliar, but Yeon was so generous when spending money. Logically speaking, it should not be a small sect. He laughed awkwardly to hide his embarrassment. I'm too ignorant to have never heard of your sect. Yeon didn't mind. That's normal. We just established our sect last month. It's a long way from Central Province too. It would be strange if you've heard of us. Tai Ching sect was not so famous that even the people in Jingdu of the Central Province knew about it. At this moment, the hawkers outside Treasure Pavilion had already started to pack up. It was the first time he closed his stall this earlier. Because Yeon had bought all his things, including their accumulated stocks and other worthless things. He was so happy that he could not stop smiling. Just as the hawker about to leave, two more people suddenly appeared at the stall. Everything has been sold out today. Come back tomorrow. A hawker replied without even raising his head. A cold light flashed in the air. Then, a cold sword landed on the hawker's neck in the blink of an eye. He was so scared that he didn't even dare to breathe. Spare me. The hawker trembled as he raised his head. Standing in front of him were a man and a woman. The man was handsome, and the woman was beautiful. They had an extraordinary aura. Two young heroes. Let's talk this out. I'm just doing a small business. I didn't do anything outrageous. The two didn't waste a word and went straight to the point. Did you receive a stone a few days ago? The hawker was confused by the question and subconsciously answered, Stone? What stone? The cold sword came a few inches closer, and the hawker could even clearly feel the sharpness of the sword tip. If the sword was a little closer, blood would have splattered from the hawker's neck. He was so frightened that he begged for mercy. Two young heroes. I buy so many things every day. Please give me time to recall. Don't play any tricks with me. That stone is black. It turned out that these two were disciples of the misty illusory manor. They accidentally lost their storage bag. It had important items that their sect needed. Other things aside, the most important thing was to find this stone, which was why they had come all the way here. Who would have thought that the person who picked up the storage bag had broken the restriction and didn't know what it was? The person thought the stone was worthless and sold it to a roadside stall. The hawker was deep in his memories. He smacked his head and said, I remember now. A few days ago, a middle-aged man bragged about it. I spent 100 low-grade spirit stones. Cut the crap. Where is it? The man interrupted the hawker's jabbering. The hawker remembered the sneaky look on the man's face. The hawker did not know the stone's origin, but he did not care. The hawkers didn't buy things according to the rules like the shops. They didn't care if the goods were stolen or robbed. After they sold the goods had nothing to do with them anymore. However, the hawker never thought that would cause trouble for him. Seeing that these two people came to him with hostility, they would definitely not let it go if they did not find the stone. The hawker buried his head in his search and revealed a smile uglier than crying. He carefully said, It's sold. What? You actually sold it? Do you know how expensive it is? Lin Qingshui furrowed her brows, and Li Jie's expression wasn't any better. We're done for. Eldest senior brother handed it to us. If he finds out that we lost it, how are we going to explain? Who did you sell the stone to? Li Jie asked viciously. There are so many customers every day. How would I know? It's so unremarkable. I didn't even pay attention to it. The hawker caught a glimpse of Li Jie's murderous gaze and seemed to have thought of something. But all the things in my stall have been bought by a generous customer. I think he bought the stone you mentioned. Li Jie examined him. Are you serious? I'm not lying. That person just entered Treasure Pavilion. Manager's son who personally led him in. The two of them checked the hawker and found nothing on him. Lin Qingshui and Li Jie looked at Treasure Pavilion. Most people entering the Treasure Pavilion were disciples of the 7 major sects. Could it be that the person the hawker was talking about was also from the 7 major sects? Li Jie was about to enter, but Lin Qingshui stopped him. There are too many people inside. If we ask the staff directly, I'm afraid the other sects will also know. It's not good to have too many people know about this matter, so it's better to wait for him to come out. Yeon didn't know that trouble was coming to him. Hearing Yeon's words, Manager's son blurted out, Your sect was established last month. You must be joking. For a moment, Manager's son thought he was hallucinating, but Yeon didn't seem to be joking. It's true. My sect hasn't even participated in the sect returning ceremony. So naturally, you have never heard of us. Yeon didn't know that one day, The Tai Ching sect would be famous throughout the continent with his name. It would be known to the world, making countless people yearn to join it. However, this was all a story for the future. The current Tai Ching sect was just a nameless small sect. Manager Sun didn't deny it. He was sure that Yeon was hiding something, so he didn't ask further. Perhaps he was a prodigal son from some powerful family or sect who had gone out on a trip. What do you need? In the entire Jingdu, my treasure pavilion has some of the best things. I think we can satisfy your needs. Yeon thought of the mission and suddenly showed an unfathomable expression. Show me everything you have. Manager Sun clapped his hands, and people carried trays in one after another. The treasures faintly emitted their spiritual energy. They were all excellent items. They were not like the inferior goods on the street. After all, Treasure Pavilion was a 100-year-old shop. Other than the high price, there was nothing fraudulent with it. Otherwise, it would not attract the disciples of the big sects. This is, all right, I'll take these. Manager Sun was about to introduce the item to Yeon when he was interrupted by Yeon. The rest of his words were stuck in his throat, and he blurted out in surprise, "What did you say?" Even though Manager Sun had experienced many storms and waves, he had never seen anyone buy things like this in Treasure Pavilion for so long. Yeon directly bought the goods without even looking at them. Even if Yeon had a gold mine at home, he shouldn't be squandered his money like this. One must know that this was the Treasure Pavilion. It was not like the stuff on the stalls. Any item in Treasure Pavilion would cost thousands or even tens of thousands of mid-grade spiritual stones. The item's Manager Sun showed Yeon was worth a few 100,000 top-grade spiritual stones. Yeon took supreme-grade spirit stones. Count them. If it's not enough, just tell me. Keep the change. Yeon said in an indifferent tone. He was just short of buying Treasure Pavilion. Manager Sun hurriedly took it. Although he had doubts about Yeon's wealth before, all his doubts were gone after seeing so many supreme-grade spirit stones. He was the real god of fortune. Even with all the expenses, Yeon had only spent a quarter of the amount the mission target. He still had many supreme-grade spirit stones in his hands. Take out whatever else you have. Manager Sun's heart skipped a beat. Hearing Yeon's words, it seemed like he wanted to buy everything. Manager Sun didn't dare to hesitate. He quickly ordered people to bring out everything except the reserved goods. All the items in the pavilion were placed in front of Yeon, and there were only 70 or 80 items. The things at Treasure Pavilion were of quality, not quantity. Not everyone could afford them. They received disciples from large sects most of the time. Many disciples had to make reservations in advance, so there were not many things in the pavilion. Who would have thought that a freak like Yeon would appear today? He actually wanted to buy everything in one go. It was an unprecedented thing in history. The golden abacus in Manager Sun's hands made a clattering sound as his 10 fingers moved so fast that one could only see the afterimages of his fingers. Then, he had already calculated and taken a deep breath in just a moment. That's a total of 85 million top-grade spiritual stones. All rounded down to 80 million top-grade spiritual stones. The moment his words fell, there was a moment of silence. Did Yeon still have so many supreme-grade spirit stones? Even Manager Sun was apprehensive. He had seen many people but had never met someone as strange as Yeon. If he could make the deal with Yeon, it would be the largest transaction in the history of Treasure Pavilion. The income of spiritual stones today would set a new record, 100 times more than usual days. The supreme-grade spirit stones fell on the table, almost enough to pile up a mountain. Yeon's expression was indifferent as if he had just thrown out a cabbage. Keep the change. So many supreme-grade spirit stones. Even Manager Sun, who was in charge of the treasury of the pavilion, had never seen these many supreme-grade spirit stones. His eyes were wide open. The light of the supreme-grade spirit stones dazzled his eyes, but he was still reluctant to look away. Did this person excavate a supreme-grade spirit stone mine? How could he have so many supreme-grade spirit stones? It was almost as much as a large sect's accumulation. One had to know that even the grand elders of the 7 great sects weren't as generous as Yeon. Seeing Yeon frowning, Manager Sun carefully said, "Is there anything else, sir? Are these things not to your liking?" He even used honorifics to address Yeon. After all, the person in front of them had become the biggest customer of their shop. They had to treat Yeon with care and not offend him. Moreover, the fact that he could take out so many spirit stones in one go must mean that he had a strong background. They could only befriend him and not offend him. Yeon did some calculations. Even if he spent so many spirit stones, there was still a big gap from the mission goal. Don't you guys have anything else? Never in a million years would Manager Sun expected to hear Yeon asking him this question. Manager Sun gasped and didn't know what to say for a moment, so he became more and more careful. Everything in the pavilion is already here. As for the other goods, they've already been reserved. I can't sell them to you. Seeing Yeon's disappointed expression, Steward Sun suggested, if you lack anything but spirit stones, you can go to the Jingdu auction house to take a look. Jingdu auction house? What is that place? Knowing that Yeon wasn't from Jingdu, Manager Sun patiently explained. Jingdu auction house is the largest auction house in the entire Jingdu. They collect treasures from all over the world. The displayed auction items were all rare treasures, and the prices were also frighteningly high. Because the auction also took commission and handling fees, the final transaction price was more than 10 times more expensive than the other places. Even so, the sects in Jingdu or the cultivators from all over the world were interested in this auction. They had the chance to find some perfect medicinal pill or supreme grade technique there, which could not be found in the outside world. Then I'd like to go and take a look. After listening to Manager Sun's introduction, Yeon was quite interested. Perhaps he could use up all his spirit stones and complete his mission by attending this auction. You come at the right time. Tomorrow is the start of the auction. Moreover, it's said that the auction this time is particularly different. Manager Sun took out an invitation card. Golden auspicious clouds swirled around it, and the words, Jingdu Auction, were printed on it. It looked very exquisite. You are an honored guest of my treasure pavilion. I will give you this invitation. There will be someone to lead you to the auction. Treasure Pavilion and Jingdu Auction House were both famous. The auctions would open at regular intervals, and there was no competition between them. On the contrary, they interacted a lot. When Treasure Pavilion received some extremely precious items, they would send them to the auction house to be auctioned. The golden invitation card in Yeon's hand was not something ordinary people could get their hands on. Thank you, Manager Sun. Yeon thanked him and left with the invitation. Manager Sun watched as this god of fortune left. He couldn't help but sigh. I wonder who he is. With so many supreme grade spirit stones in his hands, it seems this auction will be very interesting. As soon as Yeon walked out of the gate of Treasure Pavilion, he suddenly turned and walked in the direction of the gate. It was opposite from the direction he had gone back. He walked all the way to the west and stopped when he reached the outskirts. He slowly said, the two of you have followed me all the way. I wonder what you want from me. Lin Qingshui and Li Jie could not help but be shocked when they heard this. They walked out slowly and revealed themselves. This person's aura was only at human realm level 2, but he could detect their existence. Could it be that he was deliberately hiding his strength, or that he had some kind of magic weapon on him that interfered with their judgment? While the two were sizing up Yeon was also sizing them up. I wonder why you've been following me, Yeon asked. Lin Qingshui was dressed in white, floating like snow. She was like a lotus in the clear water, a natural carving with a coldness that did not belong to the world. Yeon could not help but be amazed by her name. At first, Yeon thought he had spent too many spirit stones, so some people coveted his wealth and wanted to rob him. However, these two people had extraordinary bearings and did not seem like robbers. The woman's expression was fine, but the man's eyes were unfriendly. Yeon was a little puzzled. He had just arrived in the capital and had not offended anyone. Hand over the stone. Yeon did not get it. What stone? The black stone you bought from the stall. Li Jie said furiously, it's the stone you bought from the stall. Were they talking about the Punlai immortal stone? Yeon was unmoved. What are you saying? I don't understand. Even though the stone belonged to them, he had paid for it. Moreover, this stone's origin was mysterious and might come in handy in the future. How could Yeon give it up so easily? Li Jie's expression changed slightly. The stall owner told us you bought everything, so the stone must be with you. You're just trying to deny it. You believe everything that Hawker said, but why don't you believe what I say? You said the stone is with me, so why don't you show some evidence? Li Jie was rendered speechless by Yeon's question. He was sure that Yeon had hidden the stone. I'm not going to talk nonsense with you. Are you going to hand it over or not? If you don't, then don't blame us for being impolite. Yeon was a person who could be persuaded by reason but not cowed by force. He sneered. I'd like to see how impolite you can be. After Yeon finished speaking, Li Jie's sword shot out like a dragon and stabbed Yi Zhan with lightning speed. His movements were fast, but in Yi Zhan's eyes, it was several times slower. He easily dodged the sword. Seeing his sword had missed, Li Jie flew up again and slashed down. His attack was like a dragon's roar. The powerful sword chi seemed to be able to split the air in half. The wind and clouds surged in an instant. Boom! The giant rock that was half the height of a man shattered, and countless pieces of gravel fell. Yi Zhan seemed to have anticipated Li Jie's next step and had already hidden to the side. He looked at Li Jie with a mocking expression. Li Jie flew into a rage out of humiliation. Do you only know how to dodge? Yi Zhan was not angry. Instead, the sneer on his lips grew bigger and bigger. If you're strong, come and slash me. Upon hearing this, Li Jie was immediately furious and became even more ruthless. Lin Qingshui could not help but try to stop him. Stop. Let's talk things out. However, Li Jie ignored her. If we don't teach this brat a lesson, he will not put his misty illusory manner in his eyes. As the sword trembled violently, the sharp sword chi was unrestrained. Countless sword lights intertwined, forming a large net that covered the sky and earth, wrapping Lin Zhan up. Li Jie laughed coldly. Let's see where you can hide now. Yi Zhan stood at the original spot and looked at the incoming sword net calmly. Li Jie had sealed off all his escape routes. This time, Yi Zhan had no way to escape. He was swallowed up by the sword net instantly. Lin Qingshui could not help but worry. I'm afraid that's not a good idea, senior brother Li. We just want to get the stone back. Why do we have to take people's lives? Li Jie's expression was cold. This brat did not know his place. He forced me to make a move. He brought this on himself. Even if he dies here, he can't blame anyone else. After Li Jie finished speaking, a ray of white light shot out from the sword net. The powerful light made Li Jie raise his hand to block it. The world became white, and he couldn't help but shout. What is going on? More white light was released from the sword net, and even Lin Qingshui couldn't see what was happening. The powerful sword net became as thin as paper and instantly broke into pieces. Lin Qingshui tried her best to open her eyes. She could vaguely see a figure walking toward Li Jie in her blurry vision. It was as if a god had descended from the heavens. The power revealed in his every movement made her almost breathless. Be careful. Lin Qingshui couldn't help but remind Li Jie, but it was too late. By the time the light dissipated, the sword net had already dissipated in the air. Yi Zhan was still in his original position, not even moving a single step, as if everything that had just happened was an illusion. On the other hand, Li Jie's face turned pale, and he spat out a large mouthful of blood. Senior brother, are you all right? Lin Qingshui asked with concern. Li Jie wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and knew he had run into a strong opponent. He glared at Yi Zhan fiercely. Let's go. Li Jie and Lin Qingshui instantly turned into a stream of light and disappeared. Before they left, Li Jie didn't forget to leave some harsh words. Just you wait. Misty illusory manner will never let you off. Looking at their backs as they left, Yi Zhan had no intention of chasing after them. He turned around and returned to the inn. Lin Qingshui supported Li Jie. Seeing that Yi Zhan did not catch up, she said, Senior brother Li, you must sit down and recuperate first. Li Jie sat cross-legged and meditated to recuperate. Lin Qingshui sent messages to the people in the sect. Not long after, Bai Haoyu received the news and rushed over. When he saw Li Jie's sorry state, he could not help but frown. What happened? How did junior brother Li get injured? Lin Qingshui gritted her teeth and spoke apologetically. I'm sorry, eldest senior brother, we lost that stone. Bai Haoyu's expression changed when he heard this. How could you lose it? It is the Punlai immortal stone. When Bai Haoyu saw Lin Qingshui's guilty expression, he could not blame her anymore. We tracked down the stone and figured out that an unfamiliar cultivator had bought it. We asked him for it. Then, senior brother Li quarreled with that person. They got into a fight. After listening to Lin Qingshui's story, Bai Haoyu was shocked. I can't believe there's such a thing. Someone could defeat junior brother Li in one move. Lin Qingshui nodded. I did not see how he did it. When I came back to my senses, senior brother Li was already injured. Bai Haoyu's gaze fell on Li Jie. Junior brother Li, can you explain the situation? Li Jie's face was filled with embarrassment as he said, I didn't know either. I felt a powerful force hit my body, and I couldn't resist at all. As Li Jie spoke, his voice became softer and softer. The wrinkles on Bai Haoyu's face were so deep they could squeeze a mosquito to death. This person is powerful. To be able to defeat you in an instant, his cultivation must be unfathomable. Could he be from the Tao-seeking sect or a disciple of the Heaven sect? Lin Qingshui shook her head and said, I don't think his moves are from those sects. Also, his face is unfamiliar. With such strength, he shouldn't be unknown in the 7 major sects. I've never seen him before. Most importantly, he's only human realm level 2. Bai Haoyu fell into deep thought. This person's background is mysterious, and he's displayed extraordinary strength. It seems like he has an extraordinary background. After all, cultivation could be concealed with magic weapons or other methods. They all thought Yeon was like this, but they did not know that his true strength was only at human realm level 2. What should we do now? Didn't you say that he went to Treasure Pavilion? Let's go and investigate it. Maybe we can get some useful information. However, they failed to get any information. If it were any other customer, perhaps Manager Sun would give them some information out of respect for Misty Illusory Manor. But just now, Yeon had bought all the goods in their pavilion. They had never seen such a generous customer before, so how could they dare to offend him? The smile on Manager Sun's face gradually faded. Although I really want to help you, we have to keep the privacy of our guests confidential. We understand. Bai Haoyu replied courteously, but I still hope you can make things easier for us. That way, we'll be able to report back to our superiors. Even if Bai Haoyu used Misty Illusory Manor as a threat, Manager Sun was not afraid. Treasure Pavilion had been in Jingdu for so many years. How could we develop our pavilion to its current scale without a strong background? The boss behind Treasure Pavilion was mysterious and rarely showed themselves in front of people. Some said they were the Grand Elder of the 7 great sects, and some said they came from a powerful force. All in all, there were many different stories, but there was one thing that everyone agreed on. This person's strength was definitely not ordinary. If I make things easier for you, I will have trouble reporting to my higher-ups. You all know the rules of Treasure Pavilion. It's not easy for me. Manager Sun's words were flawless, and no one could find any fault with them. Li Jie was so angry that he spoke without thinking. You are quite arrogant. You don't even have any respect for our Misty Illusory Manor. That's not right. We're just being responsible for all our guests. I hope you can understand. Seeing that Manager Sun was unmoved, Bai Haoyu and the others had no other choice. If the Grand Elder or the Sect Master of the Misty Illusory Manor stepped in, there might still be a way out. Bai Haoyu's expression did not change. He maintained his elegant demeanor and said, if that's the case, we won't force you to do something against your will. We won't disturb you any further, Manager Sun. Manager Sun was very polite. It's fine. If you come to buy it next time, I'll give you a reasonable price as an apology. Walking out of Treasure Pavilion, Li Jie was indignant. Senior brother, why are you being so merciful to him? At worst, we can capture this Manager Sun. We can force him to tell us the whereabouts of that person. Bai Haoyu looked at him indifferently. You still think that the trouble isn't serious enough? Do you think you can act so presumptuously in Treasure Pavilion? If we arrest their manager, the person behind the scenes will come to us. Do you want to make a scene and let everyone in Jingdu know? Li Jie immediately gave up. It's not that bad. Lin Qingshui agreed with Bai Haoyu. Eldest senior brother is right. Treasure Pavilion is not a good place. Let's not cause any more trouble. However, they won't tell us anything. How are we going to find this person? Li Jie seemed to have thought of something and quickly added, didn't those hawkers say before that his accent didn't sound like he was from Jingdu? He should be from another place. The sect returning ceremony is around the corner. There are many people from other sects coming in. Could this person be one of them? Perhaps we can start from here. Otherwise, we'll have to alert Master. However, there were so many sects from other places. Trying to find a person here was like looking for a needle in a haystack. For a time, they were in a dilemma. No matter what, we have to give it a try. We have to find that stone.